Rudy Giuliani, the former personal lawyer to former President Donald Trump, formerly appearing in the Borat subsequent movie film, has been informed that he is the target of a new thing. Not a film this time, but a criminal investigation looking into his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. There's the Fulton Country investigation going on right now in Georgia. They had been obviously talking about Rudy Giuliani for some time, but they are now focusing on him. He is officially a target. Now, pump the brakes a bit. That does not mean that Rudy Giuliani is definitely going to be indicted, or even that if he is, he would end up in jail. But it's not a good sign for Rudy Giuliani. And I want to let you know that it's not just me that's saying this, that this doesn't look good for him. Let's go to a few people who are in a position to know based on their experience. First, here is the former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence on what he thinks this means for Giuliani.
It means that the grand jury and the prosecutors are thinking, yeah, we're about to charge you. It's imminent, right? You are under criminal investigation, and your name is in the header of the investigation. You're one of the named subjects, and it's coming. And it's coming faster than you think. And look, his options are not good. If he claims attorney-client privilege, right? It's an admission that Trump told him to do this illegal stuff in Georgia. It's a no-win for him. And all the DA has to say is, well, okay, that's very interesting. First, your privilege doesn't extend to criminality, number one. Number two, we could stay away from what Trump said to you if you think that's privilege. Let's just investigate what you did all by yourself with Georgia officials in an attempt to unlawfully overturn the Georgia election. We're focused on you. So it's really a no-win situation. He's going to have to plead the fifth or incriminate himself. It's not looking good for Rudy right now.
Yeah, so some of the ways that Rudy Giuliani might have thought he could wriggle out of this, those paths might not be open to him. Now, he is a particularly wriggly person. He's often covered with a sheen of hair grease. But in this case, I don't know that he's gonna be able to get out of this. That's somebody from the FBI, okay? They could still be biased, they could still be partisan. Let's go to someone who knows him particularly well. This is Rudy Giuliani's former press secretary, Ken Friedman. This is what he had to say.
Listen, Rudy flew too close to the sun. He got too close to Trump, he got burned. He knows how DOJ works, he knows how the FBI works, he knows these are meticulous investigations. I know he's nervous. He could have flown to Georgia. He flies all over the world. So that's just a typical tactic to try to postpone the inevitable.
Why do you think he's nervous about this Georgia investigation?
Because he knows the truth. He knows he lied to legislators. He knows that he concocted this false elector scheme. He knows he lied for his client, and he knows we all know. Kick the can down the road. I think at this point in his life, his goal is to die a free man.
That is dark. And also looking like even that as a goal, that's a pretty low bar for the end of your life. Not entirely sure that he's gonna be able to add that to his bucket list. But Jackson, what do you make of this? How worried are you for Rudy Giuliani?
Well, in terms of my concern for him, I don't really have any. But outside of that, I think his attorney really nailed it when he said that he flew too close to the sun. He got too close to Trump, because ultimately all that happens with people like Trump is they get burned in the end. And Rudy Giuliani's in a position such that the GOP, or really any major organization, continuing to defend his name and his brand and his honor really is of no long-term benefit, which is a terrible position for Rudy Giuliani to be in. So, for him to have gone, and I mentioned this off air, for basically him being the guy who crumbled the mafia from what it was to what it is now, to him now just being a cheap crook that's, out on a limb that nobody's jumping to save. Well, that's just the irony of life and the comeuppance that he's gotten for himself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't think Trump is going to expend a lot of political capital helping him. I don't know that he's in a position to. Now, if Trump were to get reelected, he could try to get involved, but the investigation isn't a federal investigation. It's the Fulton County DA. So there's no pardon that's going to save Giuliani. But But I want to make sure that people who might not have been around for the 2020 election watching the show, they might not be familiar with why Rudy Giuliani is in this difficult position. So let me make sure that you know. And also who else is being targeted in this investigation, because it's a pretty expansive list at this point. So first of all, you can add the group of Republican electors who gathered in December of 2020 to falsely certify a Trump victory. They're electors because they're not electors. They're just Republican people that they said were electors. That's not actually how that works. Now, Giuliani, one of the reasons he's in the place that he's in is he was very much involved, integrally involved in creating this scheme of the fake made up saboteur electors. He appeared before them back in December of 2020, outlining many false claims of voter fraud to call into question the recent presidential election win of Biden in that state. He urged legislators to appoint their own slate of presidential electors to certify a Trump win. Now, he's not the only person who did that. Obviously, there were other lawyers in the Trump orbit who were pushing for that, Eastman and a number of other names. Trump himself loved that theory, so we'll return to Trump at some point. But Giuliani is the dude that they actually sent there. He was the one who was pushing for it the most on the ground. And he could claim that he was just doing it as part of his work for Trump, but you can't commit crimes as part of your work and then be like, well, what are you gonna do? I was just following orders. And he tried to get out of it. Remember, they alluded to it in the video of him saying that he can't fly down. I would love to testify, but I can't because I can't bear air travel. Maybe the only flights were on Spirit or something. And so I get it, okay? Those are not great accommodations. But no, last week, Fulton County judge said you have to do it. I don't care if you take a plane or a train or like Santa's sled, an Uber, get down there however you have to.
Yes, I was laughing a few seconds ago because I saw somebody in the comments said they were acting like Trump, like Rudy barely knew him. Like that's what he's gonna get, and that's the position that he's in. And also it was hilarious too because we were reading further down about Trump after the FBI raid because Rudy Giuliani said the first thing that Trump commented on was that look at the size of the crowd of the people out there in support of me. And it's just like, no, man, Trump's not gonna come. I mean, because Rudy can't help Trump anymore at this point. So why should Trump help him? I mean, for all he sees, and now Rudy's just another sucker.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, he would help him because of loyalty for years of service by Rudy Giuliani, right? Because they're friends, they're coworkers. Like you would have to help him if you're anything other than a sociopath.
Well, if Trump wasn't the spawn of Hades, perhaps, but that's not. That's not who he is. So
exactly, yeah. So Giuliani is going to be testifying, and you will not have to wait long to hear at least a little bit of it. Tomorrow, in fact, he's going to be in Atlanta. No word on if he called an Uber. I offered to drive him down. He didn't reach out to me, unfortunately. It would have been great. But anyway, his lawyer, Mr. Costello, said in an interview that Mr. Giuliani would probably invoke attorney-client privilege if asked questions about his dealings with Mr. Trump. Quote, if these people think he's going to talk about conversations between him and President Trump, they're delusional. But again, we've already gotten out in front of that. Attorney-client privilege could, in theory, protect some of those communications, but not conversations about committing acts that they knew to be illegal. That doesn't mean he's not gonna try to do it, but I believe that it's likely to go the way his former press secretary went. He's gonna end up just pleading the fifth. That's what they've all been doing. The kids of Trump and Trump himself just last week, they're all pleading the fifth, which I think is your constitutional right. I think doesn't necessarily mean that you did anything wrong, but Donald Trump has told us for literally years that it means you definitely are guilty. So bear that in mind.
Especially when you do it over 440 times like he did. So, and Rudy's not gonna want to. I mean, yeah, I guess thanks to Rudy in a lot of ways, the way our sentencing laws work now. When you start to look at spending the rest of your life in prison, people talk. So either he's not going to go out on a limb too much more to help Donald Trump because for what? So
yeah, and maybe it'll go in the opposite direction. Actually, why don't we transition into that talk? So right now, Rudy Giuliani is a target of the Fulton County DA's investigation into trying to overturn the 2020 election, but he's not the only one. It could soon rope in some bigger fish. This is the view of Norman Eisen, special counsel to the House Judiciary Committee back during the first Trump impeachment. He said, there is no way Giuliani is a target of the DA's investigation and Trump does not end up as one. They are simply too entangled factually and legally in the attempt to use fake electors and other means to overturn the Georgia election results. And we'll get into how exactly Trump was in some ways even more directly involved than Giuliani was. But bear in mind, part of this strategy was definitely to distance himself by using Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani was the heat-resistant glove that they tried to get the pie out of the oven with. And if the glove gets burned, well, you can just throw away the glove when you're done. That's definitely part of the strategy. But that doesn't mean the strategy is going to win, especially if Rudy Giuliani facing potential jail time, which again, anybody this powerful going to jail seems like a long shot of long shots. But if the only way that he can protect himself is to work with the investigators, if the target is actually Trump, and if he has information, which if anyone was gonna have information on the Georgia component of this thing, it would definitely be Rudy Giuliani, then perhaps he could cooperate. If his goal is to die a free man, well, there is one currency he could trade in pursuit of that goal, and it would be evidence of Donald Trump's culpability in this, which by the way, they don't even necessarily need Rudy Giuliani for. I will remind you that Trump called the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, back on January 2nd of 2021. This is 4 days before the insurrection. In that call, he urged Raffensperger to find him enough votes to overturn Biden's win in Georgia. All I wanna do is this. I just wanna find 11,780 votes, he told him, which maybe is legal. I can't wait to find out. But that's what we already know. That's before any cooperation with Rudy Giuliani. So what do you think?
Well, I think, my final thoughts on just the whole thing with Rudy and whatever's gonna come from him is the part that he played in Trump's 2020 campaign is no small matter. I mean, we're talking real treason here. We're talking about, trying to turn around the country in a way that people didn't elect, not even down the electoral college line, all for the sake of what? So it's like you're gonna have to face the music at some point or the other. So, and just like his attorney pointed out, like everybody knows what you did. So, it's kind of like it's a pretty loud, unkept secret. I mean, untold secret. So we know what's up.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.